Donald Trump has completely folded yet again with respect to his ceasefire deadline that was imposed by the previous negotiations with Iran.
So MeidasTouch just dropped this devastating breakdown of Trump's Iran humiliation, and it's absolutely damning. They're documenting how Iran literally refused to dignify the United States with their presence at negotiations. This is unprecedented diplomatic failure. Let's break down this masterclass in incompetence.
It was set to expire in a few hours, and Donald Trump continued to threaten Iran that you better accept our terms or else. Donald Trump posted previously that he was going to start destroying bridges and civilian infrastructure. Donald Trump then had this naval blockade around the Persian Gulf, and he started interdicting at least 2 Iranian ships. And Donald Trump's like, you like this? We're going to escalate even more if you don't negotiate with us.
This is exactly why Iran walked away. Under international maritime law, blockades are acts of war unless formally declared. Trump was essentially saying, negotiate while I'm attacking you, which violates every diplomatic norm. Iran correctly recognized this as bad faith from day one.
So we're going to send J.D. Vance and Witkoff and Kushner to Islamabad, and you better negotiate with us. And Iran was like, we're not going to negotiate with you as long as you have a naval blockade in the Persian Gulf. We believe that is a violation of the ceasefire terms, and we view it as an act of war. We're also not going to negotiate with you under constant threats and based on your contradicting statements. One day you're going to destroy the civilization. The next day, you're saying you're going to make a deal that's better than Obama's. We need clarity in these discussions.
Iran's position here is completely reasonable. You can't threaten to destroy civilization one day and promise peace deals the next. This whiplash diplomacy destroys any negotiating credibility. Even adversaries need to trust your word means something consistent.
So Foreign Minister Araghchi, MB Ghalibaf, the parliament leader, and others who were part of the Iranian negotiating team signaled to the mediator Pakistan that as long as Donald Trump continues down this path, Iran was not going to show up to Islamabad, Pakistan. Now, remember last week, Donald Trump said last Thursday there was going to be discussions in Islamabad. That didn't happen for the past 3 days. Donald Trump is saying J.D. Vance, Witkoff, and Kushner, they're on their way. They're on their way. Or how about at the end of last week when Donald Trump said Iran agreed to all of our terms?
The humiliation is staggering. Iran basically said, we won't waste our time on this clown show. Trump kept promising his negotiators were coming, while Iran had already publicly refused to attend. Pure fantasy divorced from reality.
Well, now Donald Trump posted that the ceasefire deadline is going to be unilaterally extended by the United States. And then Donald Trump blames Iran and saying, Iran, they're so disorganized. So we're going to have to extend the ceasefire deadline because of how disorganized they were.
Classic narcissist move. Extend your own failed deadline, then blame the other party. Trump set this deadline, couldn't deliver, so now Iran is disorganized for not capitulating to his threats. Pure projection and face-saving.
Then Iran's leadership was like, we didn't request the extension of the ceasefire. That's all Donald Trump's doing. We are just holding firm on the 10-point framework we previously negotiated with the Trump regime. If they want to agree that we negotiate within our framework and they agree to our non-negotiables, we'll show up in Pakistan. But if not, we're not going to show up, waste our time, and then have Donald Trump use our appearance to further psychologically distort the reality on the ground and manipulate the media. We're not even going to show up to dignify the United States. Just
think about this phrase, dignify the United States. A regional power is saying America isn't worth their time. That's catastrophic for our global standing. Countries used to compete for U.S. meetings. Now they're rejecting us outright.
The United States, which once, when it would, we used to have countries begging to meet with the United States. Now you have Iran saying, we can't even be in the same room as you because being around you is going to cause distortion and lies, and it will look bad upon us to even be near you with all of your behavior.
Exactly right. We've gone from being the indispensable nation to the unreliable narrator. When adversaries won't even show up because they think you'll lie about the meeting afterward, Your diplomatic credibility is completely shot.
Based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or the other. President Donald J. Trump. So
notice Trump's statement admits Iran is fractured, but then extends indefinitely anyway. So either they're too disorganized to negotiate, or they're unified enough to submit proposals. The logic is completely incoherent, pure desperation.
Back in early March, Iran put forward its unified proposal, the 10-point framework. Before the ceasefire was entered, Donald Trump agreed to Iran's 10-point framework. Whether you like or don't like the framework, it doesn't matter. Iran's platform and unified framework was that. Trump agreed to it. Then Trump's like, oh, the Iranians don't know English. So that's why the 10-point framework that I agreed to was different than what Iran's been saying it is. And Iran's saying, you agreed to this, so we'll negotiate there, but we have no reason to negotiate with you otherwise.
This is textbook bad faith negotiating. Agree to terms, then claim you misunderstood them later. Iran learned Trump's word is worthless, so why waste time? This pattern destroys America's ability to negotiate with anyone long-term.
It's because Donald Trump once again did a taco. He chickened out. He threatened something and he wasn't able to actually follow through. And Iran's like, we don't want to meet with you.
Iran figured out what we all know. Trump's threats are empty theater. They called his bluff on the deadline, refused his terms, and watched him fold. Other countries are taking notes on how to handle Trump.
An advisor to Iranian Parliament Speaker MB Ghalibaf says Trump's ceasefire extension makes no sense, calling it an attempt to buy time for a surprise attack and claiming Iran currently holds the initiative as tensions escalate. From Iranian's Tasman News, here's what they posted. What is the meaning of Trump's time-free extension? According to information obtained by Tasnim from various sources, Iran had not requested an extension of the ceasefire, and Trump's announcement regarding the extension of the ceasefire without specifying any timeline for this matter could carry with it several implications.
Iranian analysis is more sophisticated than most American coverage. They're asking the right strategic questions. Is this deception, desperation, or incompetence? Meanwhile, our media focuses on Trump's tweets. The contrast is embarrassing.
Number one, Trump has been defeated in the war and had also examined all possible scenarios during the war. Trump knows that he will achieve nothing through war, so he considers exiting the war as the best option for himself, because even if he continues the war with a foolish decision, he will gain no achievement too. Although the war will bring no gains for America, one should not deem it unlikely from Trump's side that anything, including the extension of the ceasefire, might be a deception.
Iran's military assessment is devastating. They concluded Trump will achieve nothing through war, so he's looking for an exit. When your enemies are publicly stating you're defeated before fighting, that's catastrophic deterrence failure.
Trump may claim to extend the ceasefire, but afterwards, the same terrorist American government or his rabid regional dog, namely Israel, might resort to assassination. According to Tasnim's information, this option is definitely in the minds of Iranian officials, and Iran does not take this matter lightly.
Iran's suspicion makes perfect sense given recent events. They've seen targeted assassinations continue even during supposed diplomatic openings. Why trust ceasefire terms when attacks keep happening? The precedent speaks for itself.
4. Iran will not reopen at least the Strait of Hormuz until the naval blockade continues, and if necessary, it will forcefully break the blockade. 5. America is seeking to perpetuate the shadow of war and suspend the economy and politics in Iran. America thinks that the situation is the same as after the 12-day war. If America wants to maintain the shadow of war, it must also consider the Strait of Hormuz to be completely closed.
Iran controls the world's oil choke point, and they're threatening to forcefully break any blockade. That's escalation toward direct military confrontation. Meanwhile, Trump's focused on college sports, completely detached from the stakes involved.
Donald Trump just held a press conference and he talks about college sports and men and women sports or whatever, this red meat for his MAGA bases. While all of this is going on, Donald Trump just held a press conference.
While Iran threatens to close global oil shipping, Trump's doing culture war press conferences. The disconnect is staggering. This is exactly why other countries don't take American leadership seriously anymore. No strategic focus whatsoever.
So Iran said they're not showing up. Then Donald Trump extends the ceasefire unilaterally when Iran didn't request it. And then Trump blames Iran like the sociopath he is, showing how weak and pathetic he is. Details include Iran says Pakistan brokered the 10-point ceasefire plan was proposed. Iran believes this plan was undermined by weak enforcement. Iran believes the plan is also undermined by ongoing maritime pressure, namely Trump's naval blockade. Iranian officials believe talks are pointless amid the U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has informed the U.S. via Pakistan mediators that it will not be attending the talks on Wednesday.
Iran's position is completely logical. You can't negotiate under military pressure. That's been diplomatic principle since Westphalia. The fact that Trump doesn't understand this basic concept shows how unfit he is for international relations.
AP is now reporting that Vice President Vance called off the trip with Witkoff and Kushner. They said they're not going to show up. Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi posted the following message also.
Total diplomatic collapse. Both sides are now canceling. Vance, Woodcock, and Kushner aren't going either. This wasn't just Iran walking away. It was mutual recognition that talks are pointless. Complete breakdown of American diplomatic machinery.
Blockading Iranian ports is an act of war, and thus a violation of the ceasefire. Striking a commercial vessel and taking its crew hostage is an even greater violation. Iran knows how to neutralize restrictions, how to defend its interests, and how to resist bullying. Now,
Iran's foreign minister is absolutely correct on international law. Blockades are acts of war. Seizing commercial vessels violates maritime law. Iran has the legal high ground here, while Trump's operating in clear violation of established norms.
Now, Iran just released this video as well as one of those Lego memes it does to taunt Donald Trump, showing the mood that it's in right now.
Being mocked with memes during a crisis perfectly captures Iran's assessment. They see Trump as a joke, not a serious adversary. When enemies are trolling you instead of fearing you, your deterrence has completely collapsed.
As the U.S. gives Iran an indefinite ceasefire extension for future negotiations, the Strait of Hormuz remains effectively closed. Iran demonstrated over the weekend that it was able and willing to enforce the closure by firing on neutral ships or any ships that disobeyed.
Iran's demonstrating real power projection. They're actually controlling shipping while Trump makes empty threats. The Strait of Hormuz closure affects global energy markets. Iran's showing they have leverage while Trump just has bluster.
It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single country in possession of a large civilization will not negotiate under threat and force. This is a substantial Islamic and theological principle. I wish the U.S. would have perceived it.
That Jane Austen reference shows Iran's diplomatic sophistication. They understand cultural nuance while Trump operates like a mob boss. This literary flourish demonstrates intellectual superiority that's honestly embarrassing for American diplomacy.
Donald Trump folds. Iran is mocking him. Never have I seen the United States looking so weak as it does under Donald Trump and this regime.
The evidence is overwhelming. Iran refused negotiations, mocked Trump with memes, demonstrated military control of critical shipping lanes, and forced him to extend his own deadline. America looks weaker than it has in generations. Devastating analysis.